Hello everyone, we're live for today's Getting Started with Google Analytics webinar. I just wanted to make sure that you all can hear me. So if you're here and if you're live, could you please leave a comment and let me know if you can hear me. I just wanted to make sure that microphone and everything is working fine. Hi Andrew, great to see you here. Hello Jane. Hope that everyone can hear me okay. Could you just give me a thumbs up in the comments if the sound quality is okay and we can get ahead? Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Jade, for confirming. Very happy to hear that you can hear me today. That's fantastic. So I just wanted to say what we're actually going to cover today. This is a beginning introduction to Google Analytics, so it does not require any previous knowledge. I will take you through the complete basics of setting up a Google Analytics account, how to embed the code to your website, you actually get the data from the website, and then we will go through the navigation through the Google Analytics account, so you know how to actually measure the data, how to understand the data that you're receiving. We have an hour for it, so it will be a pretty quick whiz through it. It will be really just scratching the surface, but hopefully it will give you a better understanding of navigation on the platform, how to set up Google Analytics on your website, what metrics you should measure, what is meaningful, and what the different numbers are telling you about your website. We will not be looking at any of the advanced techniques or any of the advanced things, including setting up goals, Google AdWords being paid at, or any kind of e-commerce or remarketing options, because this is not something that it's possible to do within this short video. Oh, hello, everyone. There's so many people joining us live. It's fantastic to see you all. So if you have any questions or anything, please do leave a comment. I will try to keep an eye on the comments as I go to make sure that this is as interactive and helpful for you as possible. But enough of me just waffling. Let's go on with it. I will just quickly go to sharing my screens and then we will get going. So hopefully now you're seeing what I'm seeing, which is the open page of Google Analytics. So if you're looking to start with Google Analytics, the first thing you would do is type analytics.google.com. And if you already have Google Analytics set up, this is the page that will show up to you. This is the page that will load and you will see. If not, that then Google will take you through the steps to show you how to set up an account. If you're not sure if you have your account set up properly, you can always go back to the admin and you can set up new account here, or you can check all the ins and outs and all the settings. It is slightly overwhelming. There's so much options in Google Analytics. I would say if you don't have an account, the first thing to do is click on the settings and go to create account. So let's say I would want to create account for Cambridge Online. So I would type the name Cambridge Online here. Obviously, you read all the terms and conditions, because by using Google Analytics, you're agreeing to lots of the data tracking and reporting and cookies and everything from Google. It gives you then the option to measure your website or to measure specific apps or apps on websites. So in this case, we're looking just to measure the website. And obviously what it requires us is to add the URL. So you will copy the actual URL here and again, replicate the name over here. And you can choose industry. So it's art, is whatever is relevant to your business. So if there is something like charity or not, communities might be the one, you set up the zone and you create. So this is the very initial first step that shows you how to create your account. But the most important part is actually then getting the code to embed onto your website, because Google Analytics needs to be able to communicate with your website. So as you've seen, after I've accepted all the terms and conditions, it gives me a code. And there is the one technical part that you will need to do And I'm not the most technical person. I don't understand much how these things work. So there are a couple of very simple ways how to do it. Obviously, if you have someone who is managing your account, if you have a web administrator or someone, you just send them this information and then they will do it for you. If you're the one who's managing and doing everything and need to do it on your own, this is the piece of code that needs to be on your website in the header. So it says over here, it needs to be in the part of code that says head. So who knows where that is? But there are a couple of ways to go around how you can actually access this. And if you go to your website, I'm mostly using WordPress website, but websites based on Wix or Squarespace will have the similar option. Then if you would go to your website and you would go, let's say we will go to my website and you will log in to WordPress, then there are two ways of actually how to add it. First is you can go to your plugins and you can add a new plugin. And in the new plugin, you will search for headers and footer. As we saw in analytics, we need to be able to put it into the head part. So we will look for insert headers and footers plugin. We will install the plugin. And then once the plugin is installed on our website, we will see it over here. And then we will just simply copy paste this piece of code that's here, and we will paste it into the header section, which is this section. At the same time, what we're talking about is you might see that I already have a Facebook pixel code here, which is a great way if you are thinking about doing Facebook advertising, Facebook paid ads, and you don't have Facebook pixel code installed just yet. I would highly recommend that you go and install it. The setup process is pretty similar to this. You go to Facebook, you go to Pixel, you get a code, you copy paste the code, you paste it here. And the same you will do with your Google Analytics code. Alternatively, you can install a specific Google Analytics plugin, which again will guide you through the process of connecting to your Google Analytics. And in the settings, this is the Analytics code that you need to place. And again, in your analytics, this is the tracking code that you need to be able to place to your website. And once this is done, Google in the next 24 hours will be able to start giving you data, will be able to start giving you analytics, and you can start measuring your website. So once this is done, you then go to your homepage. And at this point, I will have to obviously switch my account to account that is already set up. So I will pick one of my websites that's already set up, and we will have a look at how it looks. So this is the landing page. When you log into Google Analytics, you will get an initial insight overview that shows you some of the steps in fairly pretty graphs, but I usually find these a little too confusing and not fully fledged information. So I usually skip this part and I go straight to the navigation that you have on the left-hand side. The real time, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the data you get in the real time. You can already see right now that there are no active users right now. If I would open the website, then I could then see in my Google Analytics that once the website is loaded, this number should be updated and show me that there's actually, now you can see that there is one active user, and it's showing me that the active page is the home page. This / usually means the home page. It's very confusing, but it means the main URL of your website. But I will have a look, we will have a look, and I would recommend if you're using Google Analytics to have a look at these three next sections. Audience, it's information about the people visiting your website. So Google, obviously, because it's tracking lots of data, it also knows a lot of data about the people who are visiting your website. And as you can see, Google already is giving me some tips and tricks. So if you're new to Google, Google will obviously try to guide you through the process. There will be lots of pop-ups like this telling you, this is how it works, this is what it does. So I highly recommend having a look at that as well. But once you load the audience overview, you have a couple of important sections. This section over here on the top right is the date. So you can obviously change the date range. You can change it for 1 day, week, month, or custom. I would always recommend looking at the longer term because it gives you a little bit more of data and you can see more information in one place. Here then you have the graph of the period that you selected, and you can see what's been happening. You can see if there are any peaks and if there are any dips. You can also sort it by weeks, so kind of cluster the data, and you will see a little bit more of a trajectory to see that there was a slow growth, out of nowhere there was growth, there was a peak, there was a dip. So you can start investigating what actually happened in your marketing, in your industry, why there was nothing happening, if you have changed something in your marketing over here that led to a dip. In this occasion, it's ticket sales for my event. So there was not much of a promotion here. We started doing lots of promotion. Obviously, the closer you go to the event, the more people are interested and the more information goes out there and the more speakers are talking about it and other people are talking about it. And this is pretty much the week of the event, which is a peak. And straight after the event, there was no communication, so there is a massive dip. So it's a very clear understanding of why this data is showing me what it's showing me. So when we then look further, you start seeing different explanations. So you have users, new users, and sessions. So users are users who have initiated at least one session. So you can see that if you hover over something, Google will give you an explanation, and it will also give you an option to learn more. I will highly recommend, if you're new to Google Analytics and you think that after this webinar you still need a little bit more, to go to Google Help. It is support.google.com, and if you then search for analytics, you will get such a wealth of support of literally what we've been through just now. To get started with analytics, they will walk you step by step how to set up the account properly, how to set up reporting properly. There is a video. It shows you the next steps. It shows you the find a way around analytics, so something that we're doing today with a little bit more in depth and a little bit more with the right language and with the right words, so you then see that you have explained all parts of the Google Analytics. And if you want even more practical, they have guided tours. So they will log you into a demo account where they will guide you through things step by step, and they will get you to click on things. So you will actually hands-on be able to touch and play around with the Google Analytics account, and they will be explaining how certain things work and how you set this and what this means. So I highly recommend visiting the support of Google. It's always the most up-to-date version, so every time they make an update or change some design or user interface, they will always update it, so you'll always get the most recent thing. And at the same time, if you ever have any questions and you're looking for some support, they have a great community with lots of forums and categories. So if there's anything that you're struggling with and you can't find it, just type your question, describe your issue, and I'm pretty sure that the Google support and the Google community will have an article, a video, or a thread for you. But let's go back to the analytics. So you can see that you have users, new users, and sessions. Obviously, the difference between users and new users is that new users are visiting your website for the first time. At the same time, users is the total number, and session is the number of sessions, like page visits, from all of the users. So the sessions will be always a higher number than users and new users. Here you have a nice pie that shows you again the new visitors and returning visitors. And these numbers really much depend on how your website is designed. What is the purpose of your website? If your website is like this website that I'm showing you the data for, it is designed pretty much as a landing page. So the goal of this website is for people to arrive on the website, read the information, buy a ticket, and leave. We have a small block and a couple of resources, that there are a couple of pages where people might be coming back. And we have a couple of workshops where, again, people might be coming back to these workshops and purchasing more. But in most cases, people will visit the website once, and there is no reason for them to be coming back unless they want to check the lineup of the event or some details. But most of these details will be sent to them by email. So I know that most of the people have no reason to coming back. At the same time, if your website is full of blog posts, it's full of articles, if it's full of very helpful resources that you want people to be coming back, watching videos, reading your blog post, then this number of returning visitors is very important for you, and you would like to be as high as possible because you want people to be coming back to your website regularly every time you publish new blog posts, every time you share a new video. And you want people to be reading your website and really interacting with your website as much as they can. But that really depends, again, how your website is structured and what is the purpose of you having a website. So then more of the numbers are number of sessions per user. So again, it shows how many pages each user visited. So in this case, it was 1.5 pages, which again, the website doesn't have too many pages, so this number isn't very surprising. But if your website has hundreds and hundreds of pages and you're hoping that person will go from one article to another, sign up to your email list, watch your videos, then you would be watching this number and hoping to be higher than 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have kind of average session duration, which shows the time, the length of how long people spend on your website. Again, if the purpose is just you check the website, you book the ticket, you go, low number, short number is fine. If you have longer form articles, then obviously you would be looking at higher numbers. I would always recommend cross-checking this number with the average speed of reading. So let's say you have 500 words, 1500 words, 2,500 words, like whatever long your blog posts, your pages are. Make sure that you understand that this length of page should on average take people to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes, and then cross-check it with the average session duration, because you don't want by default to have higher length of session duration, because it might mean that people are getting confused. So higher is not always better, but you want to make sure that the average session duration is equivalent to how fast people on average should read each of your pages. And bounce rate means how quickly people leave your website once they land. So usually the number, again, shows you how many single page sessions are there where people did not interact with any other pages and just left. So you're looking for a lower number. But again, if the website is more as a landing page and there are no other pages for people to go to after they visited the first page, then the number will be higher and it's not bad for you. So this is the initial overview. Then you can see at the bottom, you can explore, if you have multiple languages, you can explore the languages. You can explore country, cities, browser, operating system, and all the stuff. But from my perspective, the most important then things are the demographics, where you can find a little bit more about who are the people who are visiting your website. So again, at any point you can change the date range, or what you can often do is compare to a previous period. So you can cross-check 2 months against each other, 2 quarters against each other, 2 years against each other, and make sure that you will see the data in context, not detached. And here in the demographics overview, you can see the average age of the people visiting your website and the general gender. Obviously, we're now getting a little bit more fluid with the genders, but this is still pretty much black and white, ones and zeros kind of definition. So you will get the overall between male and female. But it is interesting then to have a look and cross-check this with your customer persona to understand if the people you are targeting, the people you're hoping to reach with your marketing activities, if they are actually the people who are visiting your website, or if there is something different going on, and if the people who are visiting your website are actually not the people you're targeting, that there might be some changes needed in terms of how your website is structured, how your website is promoted, to attract the right people that you really want to attract with your website. And you can get into more detail of the age and gender in the demographic section, and you can also explore their interests. So you can get to know people who are visiting your website, actual people who visited your website. So this is real data This is real information from Google and from all the people who visited. And obviously Google knows quite a lot about us because we're allowing, in most cases, them to track us through the apps and through GPS and everything, through our purchase history, through our emails and everything. So these data are very interesting, and it's based on actual information from people. So you can see that there is the interest of people in the affinity category. So they are regular shoppers, they are interested in media and entertainment, they are interested in lots of lifestyle and hobbies, especially in the green kind of living enthusiasts. There's lots of food and dining and stuff like that. You can also see if they're in the market segment, so if they're more of a business consultants, if they're employed, in which sector they're working, if they're like travels, hotels, software, any other industries, or obviously there are a couple of other categories. So it can give you a very interesting overview of who are the people who are currently visiting your website, and then you can use this data to target them in a more effective way. And there's more that you can explore about audiences, but again, it's up to you to decide what's more important and what will really give you the valuable information that you need for your marketing and for your decisions. So I would recommend explore, click on buttons. The best way to get understanding of Google Analytics is pretty much just set up the account and play around with it and try click on buttons. And if you're not sure what it means, just hover over things, read the descriptions, and go back to the numbers and see how they change over time. And so the other two very important sections are the acquisitions and behavior. So acquisitions means where are people coming from? How have you acquired people to your website? So again, you will be able to change the date range. At any point, if you really want to share this data with someone, you can save this particular report, you can export it, you can share it. So there are options for you then to share this data with your stakeholders, with anyone else interested, without actually having to have Google Analytics open. But I quite like, even with clients, doing it real time in Google Analytics because it allows you to play around with it and really show it in an interactive way. So the acquisitions, as we mentioned, are ways of how have people ended up on a website? How did they discover your website? And there are a couple of main channels. Direct means that people directly type www.yourwebsitename.com.co.uk.org. And they knew the URL, be it from your business card, be it from your leaflet they've seen somewhere, or they just remember it by heart already. And that's how they ended up there. Organic search means that they went on to Google, Bing, or any other search engine, and they typed certain keywords that brought different results, and they clicked on one of the results that led to your website. Social means traffic coming from social media, and referral means referred from someone else's website. So it means it could be someone's newsletter, it could be a third-party website, it could be news magazine. So it's pretty much anywhere else on the internet that's not social media, that is a different website, a different online sphere that would come as referral. And other could be advertising or any other thing, but it's usually very minor detail that you don't need to remember. The one thing to keep in mind, mostly with the direct, is that you and your team will be causing a lot of the direct traffic, because obviously you will be going to your website to find something, to copy something, to share it with other people, to update it. There are ways in Google Analytics to create rules that will eliminate your own access from it. It's a little bit too advanced for me, so I would recommend, if that's something that you would really find helpful, then have a talk with your tech support team, and they should be able to create rules that based on the IP address or on your Google account, because every access to Google Analytics or anything needs to be logged with a specific Gmail account. So then based on that, you can eliminate certain data and get a little bit more clearer data, because this current data that I'm showing you on my website will be skewed by actually me accessing the website quite a lot. So the direct, even though it says there's different users, it might often still see me as one of the users, because if I'm traveling, I'm using different Wi-Fi, I'm in a different location, my IP address might be changing, so it might be creating a lots of mess. So the direct traffic, from my experience, often is the one with the most issues in terms of that you would need to clean the data. But what was really interesting then is to see the split. What is the share of each of the channels onto the traffic coming to your website? And here you can see again a split of the acquisition and behavior. So behavior means how long people actually stay to the website. We will get to it in the next segment. And you can then drill down more into each of these by clicking on the number and going further into understanding of which social channels were the ones who brought actually the most traffic. So you can again see Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or YouTube, whichever social media channels you're using. And then it's important not to see these numbers detached from your social media strategy. Obviously, it might be super exciting to see that Facebook is the one bringing so much traffic, and at the same time, Instagram is not bringing any traffic, so it's not working. But it's important to remember that Instagram is the platform that doesn't allow you to share links, so there is no way people can actually effectively click on a link to go to a website. So the number is not telling us that Instagram as a social media strategy is not working. It's just showing us that Instagram as a social media channel is working differently than Facebook. And obviously, if you're putting a lot of effort into, let's say, Twitter and LinkedIn, and you're hoping to see more traffic, but you're not seeing, it's again important to see social media analytics in conjunction with your Google Analytics to then understand if what you're doing on LinkedIn or Twitter is the right thing to be doing, or if there need to be any changes then on these platforms before you completely disregard a certain platform as it's not working. And here you can see that you can then always cross-check any data with a secondary dimension. So you can then see that you can compare this data to what device they're coming from, if you have a specific campaign, which campaign they're coming from, specific pages, specific users, so you can cross-check it against age and browser and stuff like that. So if we would go with age, so then we will be able to see the different ages the different platforms are bringing. So it will show you that Facebook in our main category, so this is our main category, that we know that the most people visiting this website will be from this age, but then we also see the different ages, the split, and we see that Twitter by default, as Twitter as platform, is slightly more older, and again shows us the split between these platforms. Again, you have lots more options to actually explore here in the acquisitions. You can get into the actual source and medium. So again, you have direct, you have Google, you have mobile Facebook, you have Twitter, you have referral from a different website, LinkedIn. Top link is one of the applications that are being used for Instagram to create multiple link options. So you might have seen Linktree or top link. So I talking about earlier that Instagram might not be bringing as much traffic. Well, we're actually seeing here that Instagram is bringing a decent amount of traffic. It is not just being registered in Google Analytics as Instagram, because it is coming through a third-party tool called Taplink. So it's interesting then to explore all the sources. And again, you can then see how many users are coming to the website, what is the total and what is the percentage, and how many of these are new users, how many sessions these people actually have created, so how many pages they have visited from each of these sources, and then how they behave on the website. So bounce rate, how quickly do they leave? So you can see that certain like mobile traffic from Facebook has a higher bounce rate than traffic from Twitter or from a referral source. For example, Instagram has a very low, compared to some other have lower bounce rate, which shows me that the quality of the traffic coming from Instagram is actually higher, that people are on average spending a little more time. They're spending almost 2 pages compared to some where they're literally just spending a page and they leave. Again, you can explore this average session duration, and you can see if people from certain places, if they're coming from a referral source where they don't know much about your website, and they're coming from a third party source, they might be spending a little bit more time because they need to really explore the website better. If they're coming from your own social media, they might have been on your website before, they might have heard of you before, so they're a little bit more targeted and they understand where they're going. The third section is conversions, and that is the advanced section. It would have to mean that you need to set certain goals and conversion rates. And if you have an e-shop, or if you have a way to quantify the cost of a lead, the cost of an action, then I would highly recommend exploring this, but this is not something that we can get into right now. One of the things you can always say is you can see the data in slightly different orders. So you can always decide that you actually want to see this as a pie chart, or you want to see it as a different type of graph. So these options over here are showing you that whichever way actually you prefer to work with data, you can explore, and you can have it lined up in slightly different ways. You can have it like a word cloud or whatever it is. And you can explore referrals on its own, which again is the third-party sources of traffic that drive people to your website. And it shows that there is, for example, for Instagram that we mentioned, Taplink is a new application that I started using so halfway through the month, and Linktree was the previous one. So you can see the previous traffic was a little bit from here, and there is more here. So again, if I'm then doing a full-on social media report, I would need to understand that these two traffic sources are actually coming from Instagram, and I would have to include that into the numbers for Instagram. If you're running Google Ads, if you have any Google AdWords, then the information are here. And the interesting part is Search Console. So Google Search Console is something like a beta version, or like cut back version of Google Analytics that's focusing purely on the search result, on the Google organic search result. And it gives you information about landing pages. So it shows you which part, which pages, which blog posts or sections of the website actually are getting the most traffic. Often it could be the home page, or if you have a specific landing page, it will be the landing page. So you can again see where are people actually landing on the website, and again, what is the traffic and how long are they staying there. So in my case, it is the main part of my website is this landing page. It's the information about the event. So it is by default, and very obviously it's the number one landing page. But surprisingly, there is a blog post that is one of the few blog posts that is on the website that actually has a landing page through search, has a very high volume of impressions. So it shows up in Google search quite a lot. But it actually has a lower click-through rate. So it has lots of impressions, which impressions, again, you can read the means that it's the number of time that this particular URL was shown in Google results. So when I go to Google, I search for something, and then I get all the results, and I pick one link to click on, but all the other links on the page are getting impressions because you kind of glanced at them. So they appeared, and you are having them accounted over here. And then you see the click. So how many people actually then clicked on the result and went to your website. And obviously there is a percentage of what is the click-through rate. And interesting is the average position. So it shows you what is the average position on the page. And it shows you, again, explains a little bit more what it means of where you score. So then you can see that a different landing page will be scoring differently, and how many people actually then visited and how many times they went there. And you can again drill down a little bit more in terms of looking at from which countries, which devices, which is very interesting, especially these days where we are heading more and more towards mobile and tablet, to see if that's true. Or you can still see that my website, this particular website, is still heavily visited from the desktop. It's 74% of people are using and visiting and searching for this website from desktop. and there is a much lower number from mobile and tablet. So even though the website is mobile optimized, I might not be putting so much effort in the future at this point into making more mobile optimized, because I know that most of the users are still using desktop. Or it might be that there might be some errors that are not making the website mobile friendly, so people are switching from mobile to desktop. And again, this would be something that your web developer, your tech team needs to explore and do a proper audit of the website to be able then to support these numbers with actual qualitative data and understanding if it's more of a customer preference or if it's actually an issue on the website that makes the website not suitable to be used through mobile tablet. So this is the acquisition. This is where people are coming from their website. And then once they're on your website, you should be looking at how they're behaving, how they're using your website. So we already look at some of the data, some of the numbers that are telling us about people's behavior. They are the average time on page, that's the bounce rate, the exit rate. But what is interesting is over here is the behavior flow. And this is one of the most interesting parts of Google Analytics, which shows you the flow of the website. So you can explain from the landing page that we have a starting page over here. You can explore all the data and where people are going, where people are leaving. So if there is a big drop off somewhere, why is it caused? Again, in case of this website, the big drop off, 88%, is not worrying for me because I know that there is nothing else on the website for people to be doing. But if in your case you want people to be staying for longer, you want people to be exploring more pages, or you want people to really convert to a specific sign up, then you would be watching in here in the flow if they're actually doing what you expect them to be doing or if they're dropping off. And from here you can explore what happens. So you can always click on a certain trajectory and you can explore that the percentage of people, which in this time period was 103 sessions, went from this landing page to the landing page with tickets. So you can see that from this page, it was a certain percentage of drop-offs, and then the further traffic went back to the original page, to the home page, because it's a ticket page purchase. They went to the checkout. They decided to purchase potentially some other workshop, or they went to these other pages. And again, you can see that from here, when people then went here, where they went again. So it's just very interesting to see then from your home page, and you can kind of highlight the traffic and you can really start understanding how are people using and behaving on our website. If this is something that really interests you, I really want to get a better understanding of how people are using your website, there is a third-party tool that's called HotChar, and it allows you to get visual understanding of how your users use your website. You can try it for free. There is a free version. And what it does, it actually, again, you need to set it up the similar way with Google Analytics, that you need to connect your website with a piece of code to HotChar. But then it starts connecting data. And what it can do is it can create very interesting heat maps of where on your website are people actually hovering and where are they actually clicking. So if you have specific buttons, if you have specific places where you're expecting people to be clicking and you really want to test if they're actually doing that, then here in the heat maps, this will start collecting data from people who are currently visiting your website, and it will start creating a heat map of where people are actually, how they're scrolling to the website, on which segment of the website you're staying. They will show you the differences between desktop and tablet and mobile, and you can then understand the numbers of how many people clicked on certain pages. And you can also record actual sessions. So the way I'm now moving on the website, I'm clicking on these buttons, moving my mouse around here. I might be scrolling down to read a little bit more. Once I've done it, I might then be going to try it for free. It can record a certain number of sessions like this, where you can actually see how people have moved around your website, which again might show you some additional information about if people are getting confused in certain sections of your website, if they don't know where to go, if you expect them to click here and they're clicking somewhere else, it doesn't make sense. It adds a little bit more qualitative data into the Google Analytics data. And they have a free version, so I would recommend, if you're getting into analytics and you're looking for more data, then have a look at HotChar as well as an addition to Google Analytics. So in Google Analytics, the behavior flow is very interesting, where it can show you how people are moving to the website. And then you can do it kind of a little bit more manually in the site content, where the two most important parts are the landing pages and exit pages. So we kind of already looked at the landing pages in the acquisitions a little bit. So here it gives you more data again about the landing pages. It's where people have landed from when they arrived on your website in total. So you can see then that usually your home page will be the number one landing page, but you can then see the specific website, specific blog posts. And through here, you can get a better understanding what content people are interested in, what people are really interested in reading, what are the most popular keywords and stuff like that. And at the same time, in exit pages, you can see which pages are the ones that people are leaving the most frequently, which again, in most cases might be a specific landing page, or it might be a homepage that people will land on your homepage and leave very quickly again. Or if you then have a contact page, so then obviously they will visit your contact page, they will contact you and they will leave. Or if you have some sort of purchase option or email sign up, they will go through the checkout and then they will leave. So this is kind of the initial overview. There is one more tool I want to show you, and I already mentioned it. It's the Google Search Console. So it's search.google.com, and that's the very interesting part for Google Analytics for organic search. So when, again, you need to do pretty much the similar thing as with Google Analytics, you need to go to the settings and kind of add property and be able to connect, again, Google Search Console with your website. Pretty much the same system of you need to get a piece of code or a tracking number that you embed into your website, and this allows both of these tools to communicate with each other. What is very helpful in the Google Search Console is the performance section that, again, shows you pretty much similar data to Google Analytics: clicks, impressions, click-through rates, average position, but this is looking purely at organic results. And what is very helpful are these queries. So it's actually showing you what are the keywords and phrases that people are typing into Google that then your website will show up at a certain position, which again, you know the average position from here. And then you see how many impressions you have received, your website have received based on these keywords, as well as how many clicks you've got for certain keywords. So basically, this is very generic for me because it's pretty much the landing page of the website is designed to talk about one particular event, one particular conference. So pretty much all of these results are alternatives of the same result, which then helps me to understand that most people actually know that it is the full name, but some people might be actually just looking for this, or might looking for the exact year. And at the same time, there are a couple of blog posts or templates that people have been searching that are part of the content of the website, and people are finding it here as well. So this is very helpful then for you to, when you're thinking about your content plan, when you're thinking about what more blog posts, videos, templates, giveaways, as well as social media content to be sharing and putting out there, because then you know what exactly are people searching for, what they want to know, how they are searching for you. There might be that they're making typos, and that's how they discover you. So you need to be able to look at that as well. So this is pretty much the overview of Google Analytics. I will quickly quit screen sharing, and I will go back and check all of your comments. If there are any comments, if there are any questions, and I think it wasn't clear, we have a couple of minutes that I can go through that with you now. So hope you have found it interesting and helpful. I know that Google Analytics is quite a lot, and that's a very technical, very confusing. So as I said, I would highly recommend set up the account and do have play around with it. One of the first questions I can see is how accurate are the demographics? They are still it's data that is being kind of collected from Google. So it is accurate to a certain extent, specifically in the age, because based on your purchase history and behavior and length of the account, stuff like, they can tell your age pretty accurately. But in terms of the interests, they are very generic, and they are very kind of high-end, global generic things. So I would not be looking at the demographics, especially at the interest, too much. But in terms of if you have a very gender-specific product or age-specific product service, then the demographics in these two areas I would expect to be fairly accurate. Jay is asking how we get notes after this. So this will be on YouTube Live, so you can re-watch it as many times as you want. So if there's anything that you've missed, you will be sent a link to replay again. I will send links to Google Analytics, resources, the Google Help Center, Google Search Console, and all the links that I showed you, HotChar. I will share the links with Cambridge Online and Cambridge CVS, and they will send these links to you afterwards. So, and if there's anything, you can always just find me on social media, find me somewhere and drop me a message, and I will try my best to give you an answer or to find an answer for you or to send you to someone else who knows a little bit more about Google Analytics than I do, because I'm still just a user who uses Google Analytics for my own business. That's how I know these basics, but I'm in nowhere any expert about that. So Jade's asking, how does it know their demographics? So the demographics, it's collecting data. So obviously you have, most of the people will have Gmail account or any kind of email account, or you will have an IP address. Then when you go log into Google, Google can detect that it is you. And then with every kind of activity that you do, you go on Amazon shopping, you go on eBay shopping, you log into Facebook. Obviously, lots of people will be using Google Maps. So you're traveling around, you go to work, you go to shops, you go to cafes, you have LinkedIn account, and all of these places like Facebook and LinkedIn often have your date of birth. So when you're setting up these accounts, they often will require for you to tell your date of birth, and often they will ask you for your gender. So this information is then shared with Google. So obviously then Google will be able to tell that as well, and they will then be able to start collecting data and start creating your own profile. That's how then targeted Facebook ads work, and how targeted Google AdWords work in terms of they understand who you are based on your behavior, where you click, where you shop, where you go to eat, where you work, and from there they can create a fairly decent picture of who you as a customer buyer persona are. And then you as the business can use this data to then find out the right people and target the right people with your marketing messages. Yes, the word code make my body temperature rise. Yes, I'm not the most technical person, so that's where the only thing with code you ever will need to do is when you're setting up an account, you will get a very simple, this is the piece of code you need to copy. You will go to your website. There is a plugin for you ready, so you don't need to actually entering. You don't need to go anywhere near the actual code of your website, so you don't need to worry that you would really ruin your website or anything. If you're using WordPress, there are plugins. Most of the other website services like Wix or Squarespace, they will have their own plugin, so they will always be able to find kind of a header and footer section because you need to put it into the header section, or they will have a specific Google Analytics plugin where again you just copy paste the piece of code, or you copy paste the tracking number that you've been given, and that's pretty much the only thing that you need to do with the actual code. And then you can just access Google Analytics through the analytics.google.com, where it all looks pretty and you have the graphs and you have all the interactive buttons, which is way less scary than actually looking at the data in the raw form. So do you change what you do based on looking at analytics? And if so, have you got an example? So yes, I will be changing what I do based on my Google Analytics. It would be more of an example is my own website where I have a blog post. So I will be regularly looking at my website to see which blog posts are the one that get the most traffic and where the traffic is coming from. And then I will try to replicate it. So on my website, if I will just quickly go and try to log into my website, if I can show you my analytics, and hopefully I will be able to show you what I'm actually talking about. We'll see how it goes. Give me a second, guys. I will flip back to screen sharing and I will go to the analytics sections. So I flipped to my website, which is lenkakopova.com. And if we go to the landing pages of this, then the top 2 for me are top 5 best co-working spaces and top 30 networking events. And you can see that the numbers of these 2 are way higher than any other of my blog posts. So originally I had this blog post where it was top 5 best co-working spaces, and I saw the numbers of traffic and people coming to the website very high. Then I decided to replicate it and try if I do something similar. How about it is networking? I do lots of networking, so I put this together, and behold, it's the second most popular article. So this is how I would use the data to then implement or adjust what I'm doing. The same in terms of acquisitions. If I would be looking at the search console and I would be looking at the queries, obviously I don't have it set up on this website properly, that I will not be able to show you. But then in there, if I would then get data like this, I would have specific keywords, be it about social media, be it about marketing, then I would know that these are the questions that people are asking the most, and this is how they found me. So we'll try to create more content around that. And at the same time, again, I can see that organic search is a very high source of traffic for my website, which means that I should really do this more often. The thing that I'm actually talking to you about that you should be doing, that I should actually take my own lesson and spend a little bit more time setting up the Google console and really exploring the organic search, because you can see the amount of traffic compared to other direct social referral is very significant. So my next task for my own business going forward is to set up the Google search console properly. And when I'm planning my blog posts and content for next year, I will be looking at the search results. I will be looking at what people are actually looking at and what are keywords they're using, and I will use that to inform my decisions. Any other questions? We have last couple of minutes left. If there's anything that wasn't clear, is there anything that I kind of just whizzed through that you would like to have a refresh? Do let me know. If not, then thank you so much for watching. This will be available on a replay, so you can go back to it whenever you need to, and I will send you all the follow-up resources afterwards. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to drop me an email or find me on social media, which is usually the easiest way. And you can then just message me. I will just quickly in comments place my website, and you can pretty much find most of the information, some of my blog posts, some resources, and definitely all the contact information. If you ever want to see me, if you ever want to speak with me, then check them out over there. If there are no questions, then I will finish this off, and I would say thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in some of the other webinars. If there's anything else that you would like to see, we've already done a couple different webinars. We've done one on MailChimp, we've done one on Canva, and on social media scheduling tools. Then do let me know. We can always, with Cambridge Online and Cambridge CVS, plan some other webinars to bring you more of the information and help you get the most out of your efforts. So thank you so much and have a lovely day. Bye.